Roy Halladay. For over a decade, that name made grown men wince. Born Harry Leroy Halladay III, but the world knew him simply as Roy, and more fearfully as Doc. Not the pretty boy ace with the $1 million smile. This was the stone-cold assassin who turned 60 feet 6 inches into a torture chamber. The focused stare, the methodical wind-up, the cutter that defied physics and broke dreams. 6'6" of pure dominance, Doc didn't just pitch, he hunted. Batters stepped into the box knowing they were prey, knowing that somewhere in his deadly arsenal was the bullet with their name on it. In an era of flashy personalities, Halladay stood apart, a silent warrior whose work ethic bordered on mythological. Dawn would break over empty ballparks to find him already deep into his training, perfecting a craft that seemed already perfect. His stats weren't just impressive, they were almost otherworldly, a testament to a man who turned pitching into an exact science. His arsenal was devastating, highlighted by a cutter he'd learned from Mariano Rivera himself. But what made Halladay truly remarkable wasn't just his mastery, it was his journey through baseball's darkest valleys. Once sent down to single-A ball, baseball's equivalent of starting over. But he didn't just rebuild his career, he forged himself into something greater. The accolades piled up. 2 Cy Young Awards, a perfect game, and a playoff no-hitter, only the second in MLB history. Every achievement was earned through countless hours of relentless preparation, each victory a product of his obsessive pursuit of perfection. But greatness often demands its price. The same drive that made Halladay extraordinary on the field cast long shadows over his life after baseball. The expectations, both external and self-imposed, that had pushed him to such heights became heavy chains to bear once the lights of the stadium went dark. His story transcends baseball statistics. It's a human drama about the razor's edge between greatness and obsession, about a man who achieved everything he dreamed of, yet found those dreams to be both blessing and burden. In the end, Roy "Doc" Halladay's legacy isn't just about the records he set or the games he won. It's about the cost of pursuing perfection and the complicated truth that sometimes our greatest strengths can also be our greatest vulnerabilities. Doc is a tale of brilliance, resilience, and ultimately, tragedy. Let's take a look back at the unconventional road of the MLB's most consistent ace. Doc's early career was marked by the kind of promise that makes scouts dream and general managers salivate. Drafted 17th overall by the Toronto Blue Jays in 1995, he arrived with the pedigree of a future ace. On a crisp September afternoon in 1998, at the Sky Dome in Toronto, the lanky 21-year-old rookie stands on the mound, his cleats digging into the dirt as he eyes home plate. It's his second major league start in the last game for the Blue Jays in the 1998 season. Both teams have been eliminated for the playoffs at this point, and there was nothing special about this game, except for Doc, who for 26 batters has been perfect.
Very first major league win. Randa takes strike 3.
Then with 2 outs in the 9th, Detroit's pinch hitter Bobby Higginson steps to the plate.
4 outs left.
And the pinch hitter, Bobby Higginson, has ruined the no-hitter.
One swing later, the no-hitter vanishes into the left field seats. Put perhaps the most ironic part of that moment, perfect until it wasn't, would become an eerily prophetic snapshot of Halladay's life. Baseball has a way of humbling even its most promising prospects. By 2000, Doc's baseball dream had morphed into a nightmare. His ERA had ballooned to a catastrophic 10.64, the highest in baseball history for any pitcher with at least 50 innings. Think about that for a moment. In the entire history of America's pastime, no pitcher who had thrown that many innings had ever performed statistically worse. In the cutthroat world of professional baseball, careers have ended for far less. But here's where Halladay's story takes its first dramatic turn. Instead of sulking or making excuses, he did something almost unheard of for a former first-round pick. He voluntarily went all the way down to single-A ball. A guy who had once had great success in the big leagues was back to riding buses to minor league outposts, eating cheap takeout, and sleeping in budget motels. This wasn't just rebuilding a career. This was rebuilding a man from the ground up. Enter Mel Queen, the Blue Jays pitching coach, whose methods weren't exactly warm and fuzzy. Queen's first words to Halladay set the tone. "You're a stupid idiot with no guts." Not exactly what you want to hear after failing out of the big leagues, but eventually Queen came to see something in the struggling pitcher. A diamond buried under layers of bad habits and shaken confidence. Together, they embarked on a complete reconstruction, lowering his arm angle, refining his mechanics, and most importantly, reshaping his mental approach to the game. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was a complete reimagining of what it meant to be a pitcher. What followed was one of the most dominant stretches of pitching we've ever seen. From 2002 to 2011, Halladay morphed into baseball's equivalent of a master craftsman, turning each start into a clinic in the art of pitching. He built his arsenal up to an elite level. A sinker that seemed to drop off a table, a cutter that moved like it had a mind of its own, and a curveball that made hitters look foolish. But it was his preparation that set him apart. Legend has it that Halladay would arrive at the ballpark at 5:30 a.m. on game days, hours before his teammates. He'd study hitter tendencies like a scientist analyzing data, mapping out each at-bat before it happened. His workout regimen became mythical, running stadium steps in the pre-dawn darkness, lifting weights with monastic dedication. During spring training in Clearwater, Florida, other players would arrive to find him already drenched in sweat, having started his routine while the sun was still contemplating its appearance. The numbers during this period tell a story of dominance that seems almost fictional. 2 Cy Young Awards, one in each league, a feat accomplished by only 5 other pitchers in history. 7-time league leader in complete games, 67 of them to be exact, which was more than some entire teams managed during the same period. His approach to pitching was like watching a chess master who could also bench press 300 pounds. Every pitch had a purpose. Every sequence was meticulously planned. When Doc took the mound, you could feel the air change. Even the hot dog vendors stopped to watch. During his time in Toronto, Halladay became more than just the face of the franchise. He became its heart and soul. But as the Blue Jays struggled to compete in the brutal AL East, the whispers of a trade grew louder. Halladay, ever the competitor, wanted a chance to pitch in meaningful games in October. In December 2009, the Blue Jays traded him to the Philadelphia Phillies in a blockbuster deal that sent shockwaves through baseball. The move to Philadelphia wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a chance for one of the MLB's most elite pitchers to take the biggest stage, and boy did Doc deliver. His first season with the NL East favorite Phillies was an epic one. Doc was traded in December of 2009, but by May, Doc reached a new level, even for him. Through 10 starts in 2010, he already had 4 complete games, including 2 shutouts. And then came May 29th, 2010, against the Florida Marlins. It was the 9th inning with 2 outs, and Doc had once again been perfect for 26 outs.
The 1-2 pitch. Spins, fires, a perfect game! Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history.
Turns out this was just the opening act. The Phillies would go on to win the NL East and cruise into October. Doc would finish the season with an insane 250 innings pitched and a ridiculous 2.44 ERA, easily winning a unanimous Cy Young Award. October 6th, 2010 was the day Doc had been waiting for his entire baseball life. The dazzling statistics, the Cy Young Award, the perfect game earlier that season, all mere footnotes now as the fierce competitor prepared to step onto the postseason mound for the first time. 13 years of dominance, 169 regular season wins, and over 2,000 innings pitched had all been building to this singular moment.
Roy Halladay about ready to cash in on something he's waited for his entire career.
The crisp autumn air in Philadelphia carried with it not just the roar of 46,000 red towel-waving fans, but the weight of redemption for a pitcher who had toiled in Toronto obscurity for far too long. As Roy Halladay's fingers traced the seams of the baseball, his legendary focus narrowed to a laser point.
Entire career. And away we go on a bouncing ball to Jimmy Rollins. One pitch, one out.
This was Doc's moment, and the Cincinnati Reds were simply unfortunate enough to stand in his way.
As Halladay strikes him out. On the ground. Long throw from Rollins, and it is a good one. A 1-2-3 inning. Halladay continues to deal. It is Jason Worth, and it's 6 innings of no-hit ball for Roy Halladay. Can he keep it going? Got it. 7 no-hit innings, and he is 6 outs away from a no-hitter. 4 outs away. Roy Halladay, 8 innings of no-hit baseball. Roy Halladay, 3 outs away from a no-hitter in the postseason.
Only 3 3-ball counts all night.
Nothing is routine at this point. Ugly makes a catch. 1 gone. In the air, 2 outs. And 1 more piece to the puzzle for Roy Halladay.
He had been here before.
And the pinch hitter, Bobby Higginson, has ruined the no-hitter.
Pitch number 100 on the way from Halladay.
He had been here before. But this time was different.
A bouncer, Ruiz, in time! Roy Halladay has thrown a no-hitter!
But greatness often exacts a terrible price. The same dedication that made Halladay exceptional began to wear him down. The countless hours of training, the complete games, the refusal to leave the mound, it all took its toll. His body began to betray him piece by piece. Shoulder problems, back issues. And like many athletes pushing their bodies to the limit, he turned to painkillers, developing a dependency that would follow him long after his playing career ended. Off the field, Halladay was a study in contrast. The intensity that defined his pitching gave way to a gentle, almost shy personality. He was a devoted family man who found joy in coaching youth baseball, sharing his knowledge with wide-eyed kids who knew him more as Coach Roy than the intimidating figure who dominated major league hitters. He loved flying, finding in aviation the same sense of precision and control that he mastered on the mound. The cruel irony of his story's end still haunts the baseball world.
We had tragic news yesterday. 2-time Cy Young Award winner Roy Halladay died on Monday in a plane crash off the coast of Florida in the Gulf of Mexico.
He was doing stunts and had drugs in his system.
Of morphine and a drug typically used to treat insomnia. The autopsy finds that the former major league pitcher died of blunt force trauma and drowning.
Toxicology reports would later reveal a cocktail of drugs in his system, a final, tragic chapter in a story that had seemed destined for a different ending. Looking back, Halladay's career feels like a Greek tragedy in cleats, a tale of exceptional talent, unmatched dedication, and the price of pursuing perfection. He wasn't just a great pitcher, he was a testament to the power of reinvention, of facing failure and emerging stronger. His legacy lives on not just in the record books or in Cooperstown, where he was posthumously inducted into the Hall of Fame, but in the way he approached his craft. When you watch old footage of Halladay pitching, you see more than just a talented athlete. You see a man who turned his profession into an art form, who approached each game with the focus of a surgeon and the heart of a warrior. His story reminds us that greatness isn't just about natural talent. It's about the willingness to rebuild yourself from the ground up when necessary, to face your demons head on, and to pursue excellence even when the cost becomes devastating. That's why when you think about Roy "Doc" Halladay, you don't just think about the stats or the highlights. You think about the man, the competitor, the teammate, the father, the husband, the legend who showed us that perfection comes at a price. And sometimes that price is higher than anyone should have to pay. In baseball, they say the game isn't over until the final out. But some stories, like Halladay's, continue to teach us long after the last pitch has been thrown.